My name is Shane Enholm. I've been tattooing 30 plus years, and for the last 15 years at Santa Clarita Tattoo. I lived on the street since I was 13, in and out of trouble. In my early 20s, I robbed 29 banks and went to prison for close to a decade. That was over 30 years ago, and now these stories need to be told.
The time's the same here as it is at home. But where the time seems to go, I guess I'll never know. Like the time I guess you had to go. When I walk, here I walk alone.
Next stop, we're gonna mail a Temke, antique Temke machine to Rich T at the Ohio Tattoo Museum. Super rare machine. The machine is a Temke and it came from Ohio, and I just played the Ohio Tattoo Museum, and Rich doesn't really have a Temke, so it belongs there. I didn't make any money off of it, but I always say that, you know, tattooers kind of look at those old guys like gods, like Jerry and Jensen, and the truth is they were just people like me and you, and they thought like we did. I mean, they only built machines so that they would tattoo better, or needles, or they'd see something and go, hey, I can use that as a needle, ink cap, or, you know, hey, that'd make a really good contact point, you know, whatever. So it's just problem solving, and I say this in my seminars, but, you know, the thing about tattoo history is it's like investigating a homicide where there's no body, there's all the witnesses are dead, the perpetrator's dead, so you have to go with the preponderance of evidence, and you have to use common sense, and you have to also not look at those guys like they're deities. You have to look at them like they're human and think what they would do is exactly what you would do in the same situation. Rich T gets his Temke. It gets sent back to Ohio where it was made. You know, it belongs there. That museum should have a Temke. There aren't many in the world. I got it through a Florida tattooer who had bought it at a flea market, and the woman thought it was a sewing, a tool used for sewing patterns, so they didn't even know what it was. I just got to grab a box here and make sure everything's in there. Make sure the machine's in there. I guess it doesn't matter. Let me know when you're ready. Go ahead.
Yeah.
You know, I never meant to start collecting stuff. It just happened. It was never like a decision that I made to, you know, I've gotten known as a collector. But I just collected things I liked. It was never anything like what stuff was worth, or never meant anything to me like that. Let's see what's in here. Sometimes we forget what we have. Walter, be cool, fool. These ones are Candy Everett's. Oh, yeah. Candy's a good friend of mine, and I think what drew me to this, and this is really cool. She just really does pinups great. She really does, but just beautiful. Very different than today. Thin lined, you know, very different. Very, very different. I think this is actually Phil Simms, a very early Phil Simms. When he first learned to tattoo, Jerry designed, or if not a Jerry design, Jerry painted it too. I don't know if it's a, see, people always tend to think that everything's a Jerry design because he's the most famous artist, in as much as that his shop was bought in exactly as it was when he died. So we have a record of his stuff. See, a lot of times with tattooers, their stuff would get thrown out. Their families, they were ashamed that they were tattooers, so they throw their stuff out, or they didn't care. The landlord would throw the stuff out. So now this is my favorite. Bob Shaw is my favorite painter. This is from '69. His wife was Wanda. Bob loves Wanda. This is on my business card. I'm so into Bob Shaw. He was just such a great painter. Just look at this. Just this. And this Bite Me. I mean, come on. Yeah. So fantastic. This is actually a Chris Nelson sheet. And the thing about this is it's airbrushed. Chris Nelson was the first tattooer that ever airbrushed stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, and it wasn't identified as a Chris Nelson sheet, but nobody was airbrushing but him. I'm telling you, this is a Chris Nelson. As sure as we're sitting here, that is a Chris Nelson sheet. Yeah, early airbrush. You see it?
Yeah.
It's not painted the black. I think the other stuff's hand painted, of course, but it's fucking great designs. I mean, I just love this sheet. Look at that. It's just amazing. Amazing. I think in a lot of ways people think prison is a punishment, but prison saved my life. Without prison, I wouldn't be here today. Prison made me everything that I am. And I think even though it's in the background, like it gets farther away, I've been out 26 years or whatever it's been, it had a big impact in me. I did all my 20s in prison for bank robberies. I did 29 banks. I was the ponytail bandit. I used to put my hair in a ponytail and run in and rob the banks. But the act itself, of course, it's cool. I'm a bank robber. Everyone loves bank robbers. America loves bank robbers. The whole world loves bank robbers. You know, we're in love with bank robbers. We always have been, whether it was Jesse James or John Dillinger. But the act in itself isn't the news. The news is that prison saved my life. And before I went to prison, I didn't even know how to like make a bed. Okay, here's the deal. I lived on the street since I was 12 years old. Give or take, maybe it was 13, you know, I don't know. Maybe it was 14, but it was around there. And me and my friend hitchhiked across the country a couple of times, and really interesting stuff picked up by serial killers. And I got some good hitchhiking stories, real good hitchhiking stories, because, you know, you put a couple kids out in the street. And but why I'm getting into that is that, you know, without guidance, kids end up where they end up. And I started smoking weed when I was like 11, maybe 12, and it led to heroin. Heroin held this mystique because Sid Vicious and Keith Richards and all these rock star guys and Janis Joplin and women, they did it. So it held this mystique that you know, when you did it, when I finally started doing it, I'm like, wow, this is where I belong, you know, like I was into the whole junkie, William Burroughs, the writing, Jim Carroll, Basketball Diaries, all that. I romanticized about that shit, like big time. But in the end, it just led to prison. But the first time I saw a tattoo was in a group home I was placed in, and we were at the dinner table, and there was a gangbanger sitting at the end of the table, and he had a heart tattoo on, and I'm like, what is that? He's like, oh, it's a tattoo. We'll show you how to do them after dinner. And after dinner, we were hand poking tattoos like this one's from that night, the Aries symbol. It's like all I have left from that night. But then they saw I could draw, so they were like, oh. And then we started doing tattoos. That led me to that. So, but tattoos go hand in hand with doing time. And I mean, there's a whole subculture of prison tattoos. Different countries, they mean different things, stuff like that. So even when I got my bank robberies and I kicked heroin, it took me 36 days to sleep in the Oakland City jail. I engulfed myself in tattoos and tattooing. In there, my cellie was always a tattooer. We were tattooers together, or I was always the main focus. I mean, I have write-ups of caught with a tattoo gun, caught with a tattoo gun, you know, like I have the write-ups from it, because it gave us a focus in there. The mother of my kids, I have 2 daughters from her, but, you know, of course not at that time. Casey and I ended up together. She was 12 years older than me, and I think I was 16 and she was 28. At the time, it did not seem strange to me at all. It just seemed, I'm hungry, you know, mommy, I need a bet, you know what I mean? I mean, I'm a street kid, and this chick's got a house, and this chick's got food, and, you know, so, unfortunately, drugs played a big role in our relationship. We were partners and drug addicts together, and with drugs, what happens is, you know, sooner or later, the money runs out, the rent can't get paid, you know what I mean? Because everything goes to the dope. Everything. And we were on a street corner in downtown LA, and she would, because she would give me shit, like she would be like, you need to do something, Shane, you need to do something, like pressing me to do something. And I had known bank robbers before. I know a few bank robbers. One of them, it's funny because there's a real big connection with me, is John Horace Sandler, who Bob Roberts and other people always tell me to, and Mark Mahoney, they always say to remember who he is, because Horace was a bank robber. He told me how to rob banks. But at that time, when I met him, Ed had got him out of Ed Hardy had got him, like, they started writing when he was in San Quentin, and he got it, when he got out, he gave him a job at Tattoo City, and he worked with Bob and all of them. My point is, I had known bank robbers, and they told me how to rob banks. So me and Casey are downtown, no money. The first one I robbed was on a bus. All the buses went, downtown LA, there's one-way streets. 8th Street goes this way, 7th Street, you know, on. Some of them are double, but most of them are one-way. Well, 8th Street's one-way. There was a bank at 7th and Flower. I'm convicted of it, so it doesn't matter. I can talk about it all day long. I did my time for it. There was a bank on the corner of 7th and Flower, so I told Casey, she's screaming at me, you got to do something, you got to do something. So I'm like, all right. I told her to go to that corner over there. Well, first we went and we got a toy gun. Cap gun. And the next is, I told her to go stand on that corner, watch for the buses, and when you can see the buses, because you could see straight down 8th Street, far. When you see the buses coming, raise your hand. I'll be on this block. I'll see her raise her hand. I'll go in the bank and rob it. So she's on the other corner, raises her arm. I go in the bank, rob the bank, come out, go into the alley, take the clothes off, throw them, and walk down the alley. Now, at the end of the alley is the bus stop. So right as because the buses were coming up this way. Right as I got to the end of the alley, there's the bus. Stepped right on the bus, put the money in, and the bus made a right on Figueroa. And as we made a right, I'm sitting on the bus watching the cops pull up to the bank as we're riding away. Those were my bank robberies, like stuff like that. When I got caught, the FBI was like, wow, you know, you're good at this. And I'm like, anybody with half a fucking brain could figure out how to do it. See, that's the small picture of me, of what I look like. And that's when I first went in. This is kind of in chronological order, right? Maybe I rearranged it. So this guy I met, that's old man Jimmy Thomas there. And Jimmy was really good to me. Here he is in Folsom in 1966. That's him right there. Jimmy found me, he was walking the track, I think, and somehow either his old lady needed a ride, but we found each other, and Jimmy Thomas had 13 murders. Okay, Jimmy Thomas was the foul-mouthed bandit in 1964. I was the ponytail bandit. We bonded. I think that they did it. I know they did. I just can't think where. It might have been the University of Mississippi. They did a study on bank robbers and bank robbers' tattoos, believe it or not. And they gave us soda pop if we did it. And me and Jimmy did it together. And we bonded on that. Now, later on, I found out that Jimmy was the technical advisor on Straight Time, which was Eddie Bunker was his friend. And there's a movie that Dustin Hoffman and Harry Dean Stanton are in. And he became the technical advisor. He's in the movie, in the jail scene. He's got, you can see him in there. But Jimmy, what he told me is in the morning they were going to this movie set teaching these guys how to rob banks, and that's why Harry Dean Stanton's like, hey, you love me? You love me? Then quit fucking looking at me, cussing and all that, because that's the way Jimmy robbed banks. And in the afternoon, they were going and robbing banks for real across town. I mean, he was a gangster. But if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have known how to do time. He taught me. He taught me a lot. He was he took me under his wing, and he really helped me. I kept quite a photo album. This one's real interesting. This is David Bianchini, and he ended up being one of the most positive influences in my life. David was a Vietnam vet. I don't know if he signed the back of this or not. Ah, shit. Don't go anywhere, sorry. I forgot. David was a highly decorated Vietnam vet, and I was doing a bunch of time in the hole, and I had heard about him, and we met, and when I first saw him, he didn't have the appearance I imagined a guy that had done the tours in Vietnam and done the things that he had done, because it was pretty heavy. He had done 3 tours, and his whole squad had been killed more than once but him. He'd been shot, stabbed, just crazy. And we hit it off. He's an incredible human being. He made me this, which in prison's hard to do. I mean, he made this out of tape. And he cut up all these pictures. There's me and him. And me and the tiger mouth. And he, you know, it's funny the bonds that you get in there, but we really bonded. Amazing human being. Like, I can't even begin to tell you. He was another influence that was like, Shane, you never have to come back here again. If you get out, you will never have, if you want to, you can do anything you put your mind to. That kind of stuff. Well, he wrote me this letter after I got out. He would write me from time to time. And I mean, I can't tell you enough how much I love that guy. Just a good human being. And there was a woman that was going to do a biography on him. And he told the woman, oh, if you want to know about my prison years, call Shane. So her and I were talking, and I told her, oh, I got some letters he wrote me after I got out. Do you want them? And she said, yes. And one of them ended up in this book, More Than a Memory, Reflections of Vietnam, Chapter 17, Letter to Shane by David Bianchini, 183. I think it says in here, yeah, written while serving 180 days in solitary confinement in Ferreton Correctional Facility, New Jersey, 1997. Those are the kind of people, you meet a lot of creeps in there, but every now and then you meet somebody that will change your life. And he was a very positive influence on me. And then we went to Muncie, which is Nate's, where 111 Arts Gallery, that's the name of his shop. Let me tell you something. Nate Harmon is a sweetheart. Nate Harmon is such a wonderful human being. He just lives for tattooing. I mean, he's in this romance period with it that I'm kind of over, but because he's in it, it generates it in you. You start loving it again, you know, like tattooing's a trip. You'll go through periods where all you'll want to do is read about it and talk about it, and machines and patterns and Sailor Jerry and acetates. In fact, in Nate Harmon's house is like 2 blocks from a place where Dillinger shot it out with the cops and got away. And so when I was gonna play again, I played the first successful show. We decided to do a tour and call it the Dillinger Tour.
Dillinger's from Indiana. It's where I'm from, and he's going to start the tour off there. And right where I live at, actually my actual home, my house that I live in, like you can look across the street, probably from this distance to the other side of the canal, there's an alley that comes out, and one of Dillinger's friends had gotten shot and was in this hospice back in the day, and they had a shootout with the cops at that fucking place, and they exited the alley. You can see it from my house. And there's a couple other spots there in Muncie. You know, he wouldn't rob a bank in Muncie because of the way the trains would like close off the town. And we thought, you know, that was a fucking great name. You know, his love with fucking bank robbing, and I mean, it's part of his lifestyle. You know, or was part of his life. It's definitely a part of who he is today, but I don't think it's his lifestyle anymore. But, you know, that's the part of the Dillinger Tour, that it's starting mostly in Indiana, and then it's going to go on. I had like 2 or 3 spots. I ended up doing 4 spots, and Shane booked 3, so it was 7 total, right? Fort Wayne, Muncie, Bloomington, Cincinnati, Columbus, Gallipolis, and Richmond. 5, 6, 7, yeah, 7. The best spot on the Dillinger Tour, hands down, was the fucking performance in fucking Bloomington, Indiana. I can't remember the name of the place now. It was like the Cellar or some shit like that. It was a basement venue, and our friends play, well, my friends play, a kid I used to work with, Brant, hooked it up, and that name of that, what am I, the Rhett family band. And Rhett is like this skateboard crew, and they named the whole band off of it. But during that performance, this kid fucking that was hanging out all day, drinking beers, smoking weed and cigarettes outside, he ends up fucking scoring some dope. And he goes down to the fucking restroom. The kid had shot up or something. The band plays, the Rhett family band plays. Shane's getting ready to go on. Everybody went outside to smoke cigarettes. I go to the restroom, and the restrooms are like, it's one of those places where it's like theys and thems. There's no he or hers, and like, you know what I mean? So I go to the restroom, and I went to the same restroom I went to earlier, because doesn't say, I don't know which ones. There's no fucking urinals or anything like that for pissing with a dick. So it's all like toilets. And there's this fucking person looking at me, and they're like a fucking, I think it's a dude, dressed like a woman. I can't tell. I look at him. I'm like, is it weird that I'm walking in this restroom? They're just looking at me on the shitter. I'm like, okay, it ain't weird. I don't know what you are. I don't care. And I go to the next stall, and there's a fucking kid. It's all like purple, blue lips. Like, he's hunched down like this. There's slobber coming out of him, not moving. And I'm like, hey, and I smack him. And he fucking doesn't move, so I'm like trying to pick him up, and I look at him real quick to make sure there's nothing fucking sticking him that I can get sharps by a fucking needle. The kid had OD'd, and try to drag him out, get these people to help me, and they're calling the EMTs on their phones. And this other chick runs to go get fucking the bartender, and they give her some Narcan. I'm like, and there's 3 or 4 people helping me now. I go get Shane. I'm like, Shane, this dude is fucking OD'd, and they get 2 shots of Narcan, and I asked this lady, I'm like, is this fucking dude on dope or not? And she's like, yes, you know, freaking out. I'm like, well, fucking kid's dying. Shane's like walking. We can't walk him. He weighs too much. They double Narcan him. He comes back to life. Goes outside. The EMTs come. Everybody's at the show. Pretty much vacates the show. Half of them because they're probably on drugs. I don't know. They're like, the fucking cops are coming. Everybody leaves, you know?
Pretty fucking wild. Pretty fucking wild. But that was just one example. Another example is, okay, we're gonna rent a car from Bloomington to Richmond and everywhere in between. So you know, it's the last day of Bloomington, and I tattooed with this guy Brant. Amazing guy. He's T-Bog on Instagram. Listen, there are these guys in Indiana that are doing this kind of primitive folk tattooing that is really incredible, and it's starting to really catch on. When I first saw it, I thought this looks like child drawings, but it's catching on, and it is really amazing. And what they're doing is just, it really is amazing. And Brant's one of the guys that's doing it. Anyway, so I go in to rent the car, and I walk in there, and we're in Bible Belt, America, and the guy takes one look at me. Now, he ain't seen Nate, but he takes one look at me, and he's like, holy shit. And he rents me the car, except the car he rents me is a Tucson. And I take it because it's the only one he has, and we have to get to Cincinnati the next day. There's nothing we can do about it. But John Dillinger was busted in Tucson, Arizona. And if you ain't listening to the universe, you need to. This is a painting I've been working on. I've been working real hard on this. And I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get a little more detailed. No, it's Albert's fucking painting. I'm just talking shit. These are the years I was locked up. They call, in California prisons, they call a year a bullet. So see how they're bullets with numbers on them? So I got those. This is a prison tattoo. I have a lot of prison work. This guy, this, all this is. Not the duck, but all the other stuff is. Except Leo Zuleta did that at Spotlight. But all the other stuff is. Yeah. This stuff here was Horace, who was the guy, John Sandler, Quentin, I showing you the, yeah. That was like my mentor, for want of a better description. Oh, this camel. It's from the joint. And then I got a bunch of secret shit all over here that I don't show anybody. Got a bunch of cool ones.
Yeah, you got badass tattoos.
Thanks,
super
man.
sick.
No,
I dig the
you.
snaggletooth. Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
sick. Yeah, I got some sick ones. That's by Uzi, AP Tattooer, AP, Jason Woods, Uzi. Yeah.
And now Shane Enholm.
No,
Yeah.
he's got one I already did. Come on, let's pick something. Is there something in particular you want to do? Do you have, what spot on your body do you want to do? I don't give a fuck. You tell me.
I don't really care either.
You want to look through? Just look through some shit.
Yeah, we'll look.
We'll find something. Come on and take your time. And if you want to look through some other shit, you want to go out in my station, grab that shit.
Sick.
Here, grab this shit. And what else would be good to look through?
Oh, that one's fucking sick. It's kind of like the...
Oh, dude, you want to do that one? Because we did the other one? We could do that.
Damn, that one. Yeah, I'm down for that one. That one's
That's
sick.
the one?
Yeah, I'm down.
All right.
Yeah.
I've been listening to the talk of clocks while I've been watching you slowly walk. You don't know how it feels to have no one here to wind my music box. The eensy weensy spider climbed up that water spout. Down fell the rain and washed that spider out. When will the rain come and wash away my doubts? I'm just watching the sky for rain, hoping when it falls it will ease my pain. I'm just watching the sky for rain, hoping when it falls it will make me sane again. When the sun is shining and the summer breeze blows, people laugh and smile, and life grows. But the sun in my eyes always makes me search for shadows. They say when it rains, it really pours. And the old man sleeps, he surely snores. He bumped his head on the end of the bed, but it's his heart lying in pieces on the floor. I'm just praying to the sky for rain, hoping when it falls it will ease my pain. I'm just praying to the sky for rain, hoping when it falls it will make me sane again.
I know, be careful because it'll backfire on you, because it does.
Yeah, and she's like, she shook. Yeah, he's like, he'll
Steve Fowler, human.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. Ollie, this is one of my oldest friends in the world, closest and oldest friend. Ollie is on the tribal, was on the tribal tour with me from
Nice to
Germany.
meet you. Yeah, I heard a lot of good stuff you did with Shane.
What? Okay, dig this. In New York, this is what a underground guy he was. This is a good story. In New York, there's one of the paintings. They were, they were, you know, at a gallery or someplace.
Yeah.
And he used to keep a marker with him, and he went on a marker and did the whole bottom of a Michael Basquiat painting that sold for $20 million. And to this day, his art's still on it. They don't even know that it's Albert. Nah.
It was at the Palladium.
Tell the story. Tell the story.
I'm all about the vandalism. That sounds cool.
Yeah, he's a
Yeah,
vandal.
does he?
He's a
Yeah,
vandal, the
vandal.
vandal. So yeah, he wants to hear vandal. He formed the
You think
vandals.
that's Is it vandalism to do that?
No,
Was
yeah,
it-
it's
It
been.
was
no,
in a
that's
club.
that's the debate.
It was in a club, that's right. Yeah, it was in
You're
a palladium. I guess there was a bunch of drunks roaming around. Anybody could have done it, but I happened to have a Sharpie, so I don't know what the fuck. I went whap whap, left it there. And boy, it's still there. I look at the painting and it's still there.
Yeah, and
A couple of
books and
flashes.
stuff. Pictures of the
Collaboration
painting. Yeah, it's beautiful.
The only time I'll
Collaboration
ever...
with a dead guy.
Go. This is my oldest friend from punk rock. I think surviving. Mine, anyway. I know you have a few older than me, but me, we go all the way back to, well, I think early LA punk rock, but the people at the Mask don't think we're early, right? We're
Second wave.
Second wave. Second wave! Second wave. But Steve, Human, they call him Human T-shirt because we lived in Nordic Conquest. That was this storefront in Long Beach on Anaheim and Pine. That bad Pacific, but Pine was right there too, right? Worst fucking neighborhood. I mean bad. I mean bad. But the epicenter of tattooing was the Pike, and so people from Long Beach, especially punk rock kids, were getting tattooed at the Pike. We were all going down there and getting fucked up down there. And Steve was one of the earliest. He also tattooed mentally ill on the side of my head. Not everyone knows this because no one sees the side of my head. But our friends had lobotomy. And I think Shirley, mom, whatever the fuck.
No, she got her second. I did Animal's lobotomy tattoo.
Oh, you did?
On Jello Biafra's couch.
Ah.
In San Francisco. And he came down and he hadn't seen me in a while. We didn't have cell phones back then or anything. And we'd gotten in late and done a bunch of speed with his roommate, Mickey Creep, who did Creep punk rock fanzine. And so we were all wide open. Biafra's a night owl and he sleeps in. So he came down at noon and I was in the middle of this tattoo on his couch in his downstairs living room. He had 2 roommates at the time. It's not the nice new place he has now. And I was tattooing that lobotomy tattoo and he was a little, oh, there you are, you know. You said you might come up. I said, yeah, how you doing? But then anyway, he wanted that tattoo. We both idolized this guy.
Yeah, Animal Boner.
Yeah, Ken Sneed. He died.
Kenneth Sneed.
Yeah.
Kenneth Wayne Sneed, that's right.
Yeah, he's
gone now.
Lunatic, and
Lunatic.
I wanted to be him.
And
I would borrow his
shit.
hand
I would
gestures
too. We were, because he was really unique, and he was very personable, and he was charismatic, and it was hard not to get sucked into his shit, you know.
And then that was Mahoney. That was my last tattoo in '85, probably. Mm-hmm. And Mahoney did. Either Jane or Rick Walters did the skull, but Mahoney did the snake around it. That's where I traded him the gun for. And then the other Mahonies are, this is the Carlsberg Brewery. That's fucking, you know, early 80s. Still that single needle holding up. And then this is one of the nicest ones.
Karen I had known since 1982,
Yeah.
and first, in the time we hadn't seen each other, she had
I had opened up the shop. I'd moved back up here, opened the shop.
How'd you get there?
How'd I get, I first went to prison myself, using drugs, same as Shane. Him and I had the same kind of upbringing. I left home at 13, came up here, was living everywhere on the streets, San Francisco, LA, Hollywood, and I met Shane, and both of our paths ran the same way. I was living in San Pedro, and my neighbor was Dave Gibson, who worked at the Pike in Long Beach. So I would go down there and hang out, and him and I became very close, and Shane and I were close also. I went to prison for 2 years, then Shane went. When I got out, I started tattooing. I needed a job. Dave's wife, Debbie Gibson, told me to call Bob and see if he'd teach me, but he was apprenticing Jill Jordan at the time, so I called my old friend Dave Orlowski, Colonel Todd's nephew, and he taught me how to tattoo. I started tattooing and I worked in Norwalk for a few years until the riots, and then I opened up here because there weren't any tattoo shops at the time up here at all, and the closest one was the Hells Angels shop in the Valley that had been open since '71. So I made sure it was okay that I opened here with the Hells Angels and with the tattoo community. My old boss, Colonel Todd, said it was okay. And I had been up here for a few years when I got the phone call from Shane, who needed a job. And he was just up here for the weekend. Actually, he first called me when he got out of prison because he needed tattoo machines.
That's right. That's right. Okay. Well, first...
Back up a little.
The first time I ever met Karen, we were kids at the Cafe de Grande Punk Rock Club.
On the corner of Selma and Argyle in Hollywood.
And she had come up hard on me. Like, who are you?
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, wow, she's really pretty. And I'm like, oh, wow. Yeah, I'm Shane. And she's like, meet me here tomorrow. We'll smoke some weed or something like that. So I said, okay. So the next day I met her and she said, you got a kid, right? She had done a little make on me and found out me and Casey had a kid. And I'm like, yeah. And she goes, okay, it's cool. Let's hang out. So she would come to my house. I played music at night. Casey worked in the day. I basically raised my daughter. Case was at work. So Karen would come to the house and we'd smoke weed and I would try to pick her locks. I would try really hard and she would never let me because she didn't want to wreck our family, is what she would say.
When I met him, he was very young, small, long hair, heavily tattooed, back when nobody was tattooed. And when he went to prison, he grew up. He turned into a man in there, but he was tattooing and he needed some equipment, so he came up here. And then a few years went by. He went to New York and he was painting and doing his thing. And then years later, he called me and he needed a job, and so.
I was going to come for 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks, that's right. And he ended up staying
15 years.
Yeah, here we are 15 years later.
15 years later. But here's the thing. Yeah, I kept my apartment in New York. I thought I was going to go back there, but I never went. But the thing that blew me away about Santa Clarita Tattoo is that Karen built it by herself. I mean, she had friends that helped, don't get me. I'm not saying that she sat there single-handedly, but she built that shop. And you know, one thing about Karen that, you know, first, she tattoos really good. I mean, and I really like the way she paints. Her flashes smoke, and I'll show you some examples. But she built that shop herself. And I was always impressed with that. I don't own the shop. Karen owns it. It's her shop. I would never want there to be any discrepancy. She built it herself. She deserves it. It should be hers. I'm just a guy that, but everything that shop is because of her. Absolutely. Because you know.
You're more than a guy.
Yeah, but what I'm getting at is, you know.
Thank you. So at the time, there weren't a lot of girl tattooers. Carrie Barba was tattooing. I think there was one woman in Laguna, Patty Paddock, Candy Everett, of course, and there was other women in other states, but not so many in California. So I learned how to do everything, you know. I learned how to tattoo with 4 flats and with 4 liners and 6 flats, 4 and 6 flats. Before they had magnums. So I still use the same tattoo machines I started with. Colonel Todd built for me. I have a few pairs for different setups, different size liners that I use.
Yeah,
But we had to do everything back then. Make all of our needles, make the clip cords, make the power supplies. You know, we had to make our own. We had to make everything. If something broke, you had to fix it. It's very different than it is today.
Supply companies.
We didn't even have copy machines. No copy machine, no thermal fax. We did everything by hand. So I learned how to mix pigment. All.
Oh yeah, you guys were
long
tracing.
before-
You guys were tracing.
Yeah, we had to
designs.
trace everything off the walls. We didn't even have copies of things. You know, long before the internet was around, we would use the phone book even sometimes for if we didn't have any other reference, we would use the phone book. But Norwalk was a crazy place to tattoo. We got a huge mixture of people. We would tattoo Grape Street Crips. They would come in there, and we would tattoo 18th Street, you know, cholos and white bikers, and we had a very large selection of customers, more Hispanic, but that was right next to Compton, and it middles Long Beach and Orange County, so it's a strange mixture of people. But we were open from noon till midnight, 7 days a week, and you know, I would have to lock myself out of the building at nighttime with a lot of cash and then drive. You know, those were crazy days. But I loved it, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah, sure you do. Sure you do. Sure you are.
There you go. All right. And we are off.
You know, I'm playing a show tonight. I play songs that I wrote. Most of them I wrote in prison. I have a record out right now called Divine American Pariah. And I recorded the songs 20 years ago, but it didn't get released until 2018. And so what I do, and I'll talk more about this on the Dillinger tour, is I go to towns and I tattoo in the morning and I play music in the afternoon. It's just me on the guitar. You can see some of it on YouTube, Tattooing Uber Alice. When I was in Aachen, recorded that whole show. You can find it on there. But the record's done really well. It's just me. I played every instrument on it. This is just another night of me playing a show. Hey, you crazy kids. I'm Shane Enholm, and I have an album out called Divine American Pariah, and it's actually done pretty good. I'm sold out of them. You can find it on Spotify or Apple. It's everywhere. And I wrote the songs while I was doing time for bank robbery. They're all acoustic songs, and usually before I start one, I always talk about if someone helped me, because most of the people that either inspired me or helped me, they're either dead or they're doing life in prison. The first song I'm going to do is called Making Mud Pies, and it's basically about dope fiend girls.
Proletarian husband convict friends. Your plastic purse, it's filled with 5s and 10s. Your two made up faces and your innocent eyes. Your mercury mouth, it's spouting endless lies. A silver spoon concealed near your breast. Your golden arm hidden in a long sleeve dress.
Okay, now I'm going to show you where I do some of the poop butt videos. This is like, this room is a physical representation of my brain. When you see all the shit in here, it's kind of a mess, so be careful. But when you look around here and you see there's fucking art books and amps and fucking tattoo stuff and tattoo books and all the books of all the subjects I love. In fact, there were so many fucking books that these shelves collapsed and these books fell all over the floor. There's acetates, bags full of acetates and tribal tattoo tour stuff, and it's the fucking epicenter. And I do the poop butt videos like right here. And the whole thing about the poop butt videos is they started on accident. On National Knife Day, I was at the shop and I was like, hey, film me. I didn't know anything about the timing of it or anything. I had no clue. And I said, what, poop butts? National Knife Day? Switchblade buck, never leave home without it. And I did that, and then I went cut with the knife, and that's where cut came from. All of it. It was just spontaneous. I just fucking thought it up, and then after that it started, and then this developed. If you watch them from the beginning, it just started nothing, and then a snap, and then a big snap, and then it was almost a message to some of the viewers, because they're saying something about my snap, and I was like, oh, you think that snap was good? I got a good snap. And started doing it over and over and over. And so that's how it all began. And then it turned into this huge fucking thing where people were waiting for me to do it. And I never planned them. I never rehearsed them. I can't. Right now, if you said, hey, Shane, do one of your poop butt videos. Listen up, poop butts. It just comes over me. And I'm like, okay, I got to do it. I got to do it now. Or I got to do it in the next hour. And then I come in and I set the camera right there. On my camera, I just take my camera, literally like this. And I set it right here. And flip it and put it on video and then hit it and start. And that's what you guys see. That's why you see this background. And why you don't see these anymore that were in the background is because the earthquake that just happened knocked them off the shelf there. And it wrecked the corner of them, so I never want to put them up there anymore. That's how this all... the poop butts thing all started and turned into this. Now, a poop butt, people always think it's weird, or it's a guy with poop on his butt. That's not true. It's a prison saying about a guy that's not like a little kid. It's like poop butt. He's not smart enough to wipe his own ass. He's such a little kid. He's a poop butt. You know, like if you had a big knife, someone would go, wow, that's a bone crusher. And then if someone came with a little like sticker, they'd say, oh, that's a poop butt knife. But people send me and give me this crap, which literally poop stuff. And it's not what it is. It's not poop, you know, but I accept it because who am I to not accept it? But what a poop butt is it's like oh yeah, well, that's just a poop, you know, some guy rides up on this big Harley, it's, and then some guy rolls up riding some little tricycle, and they're like, look at that poop butt tricycle. That's what a true poop butt is. The rest of it is for self-interpretation. Okay, poop butts, I'm taking Ollie to the airport to drop him off. This is it for the United States part of it. I'll see you guys in Europe. We'll see what kind of trouble we can get in there. Hopefully not international. Anyway, Cut.
Shane Enholm, Kalifornien, Santa Clarita Tattoo. Jetzt geht's los.
We had a record deal. I think I was probably 18 or 19. I've been playing guitar my whole life, but we were all heroin addicts. And we had a record that came out, and it did okay. You know, a lot of people still listen to it. But everybody in the band now is dead but me. And this is one of the songs I wrote then. It's the only Flower Leopard song I ever do anymore. It's called Lying Dead on the Phone. It goes, something died down the line, and in a face of a love that grows cold, you know that only emptiness lives, and like acid the tears burn your skin and leave the holes for the cold to get in. My baby's lying dead on the phone. My baby's lying dead on the phone. 'Cause when she's lonely, she can't be alone. My baby's lying dead on the phone. Just to show all my care was for you, and my love got mixed up inside and appeared on your skin black and blue. Why is it love kills everything that I ever cared for? So don't talk to me anymore. Don't call me in the night anymore. My baby's lying dead on the phone. My baby's lying dead on the phone. 'Cause when she's lonely, she can't be alone. My baby's lying dead on the phone. My baby's lying dead on the phone. My baby's lying dead on the phone. 'Cause when she's lonely, she can't be alone. My baby's lying dead on the phone. Thank you very much.
Die Welt ist heute vollgestopft mit Leuten, die etwas erzeugen möchten und die irgendwas darstellen wollen. Es gibt aber immer wieder Leute dazwischen, die einfach zu dem stehen, was sie sind und die einfach eine gewisse Art von Authentizität erreichen. Und Authentizität ist das, was wir alle bei anderen Leuten wahrnehmen und ehrlich nehmen. Und ich bin in den Raum gekommen und habe direkt gemerkt, dass da jemand ist, der das ernst meint, was er macht, zu dem steht, was er macht.
Ich bin ja ganz oft im Fuck, aber heute haben wir Shane und Karen auf jeden Fall am Start gehabt. Super mega geil. Mal abgesehen davon, was er heute gespielt hat, man hat es auf jeden Fall gefühlt. Wir waren heute nicht sehr viele hier drin, weil das alles sehr familiär ist. Aber allein nur dieses Spielen, wie er spielt, was er für eine Message hat, einfach nur unbeschreiblich.
Ich habe selten so einen authentischen Typen gesehen. Und wenn man jemanden hat, der zu jedem Lied, was er spielt, irgendeine Geschichte aus seinem eigenen Leben erzählen kann, das ist wunderschön. Das macht einfach Bock.
All right.
Yo.
So Shane, now
Yes.
second time for you being here in Aachen on the Great Kaiserstadt Convention.
Yes.
And playing the show tonight. So what does that mean to you?
Well, they're having I guess the opening, a lot of conventions, tattoo conventions have these opening art shows where people contribute art and then, you know, because people get here early or whatever. And Andreas asked me to play and I'm real excited just because I think there'll be a crowd there and when I play music, the most people that I relate to are tattooers, believe it or not. Not that regular people don't. Lots of regular people really do. Last night, they really did. But tattooers seem to be real affectionate of my music. So I'm real excited to play. And then Saturday, I play at the convention. You know, that's it. It's been great being in Germany again. I don't know if I should say this or not, but I'm gonna anyway. It's just that Europe, and Germany particularly, seems very efficient compared to the United States. I can't begin to tell you.
Love the German people too.
So you probably come back.
Oh yeah.
Ich bin Andreas Köhn, Tätowierer und der Veranstalter der Kaiserstadt Tattoo Expo. Die Idee mit der Hardy Use Mashup kam mir beim Zeichnen. Ich habe so ein Mashup gezeichnet, dieses klassische Panther, Rosen, Morph Ding, was Ed Hardy Anfang der 90er Jahre sozusagen ins Leben gerufen hat. Und was mich immer schon sehr fasziniert hat, war, wie Designs zum Motivschatz des Tätowierens werden, also wie die in die Ikonografie des Tätowierens kommen. Und die meisten Sachen sind lange zurück, der schwarze Panther aus den 30er Jahren, und da kann man immer nicht so richtig nachvollziehen, wie es im Endeffekt entstanden ist. Also man weiß zwar, wo es herkommt, aber man weiß auch nicht, wer es dann ins Tätowieren gebracht hat. Und bei dem Mashup ist es halt so, das war 1991, dass Ed Hardy dieses Bild gemalt hat und Mike Malone war dabei und hat dann gesagt, du musst dir auf jeden Fall die Credits dafür holen, weil das wird jeder kopieren. Und dann hat es auch jeder kopiert und es ist heute halt Teil der Tätowiersprache. Ne? Also diese Idee davon, dass man Motive miteinander verbindet und so ineinander fließen lässt. Und das ist 1991, also das ist innerhalb unserer Lebenszeit. Das heißt, man kann halt sehr viel besser nachvollziehen. Das war so die Idee dahinter und weil ich fand die Idee gut, dazu eine Ausstellung zu machen. Dann habe ich halt Ed Hardy natürlich auch kontaktiert, weil ich das sowas natürlich nicht machen wollte ohne sein Wissen und seine Zustimmung. Er fand die Idee super und dann habe ich halt viele Leute, die ich kenne, halt eingeladen zu der Ausstellung zum Teilnehmen und so ist das dann entstanden. Und im Endeffekt sind es 64 Bilder geworden. Ich habe vor 2-3 Monaten mit Shane Enholm geschrieben. Und er sagte, dass er in Europa ist und dann kam uns halt direkt die Idee, dass er halt hier nochmal spielen kann. Wir haben ja jetzt bei uns auf der Convention gar nicht so dieses Musikprogramm mit Bands und sowas. Aber bei Shane ist es natürlich eine Ausnahme. Er ist natürlich A, weil er selber Tätowierer ist und natürlich auch eine Ikone im Tätowieren ist. Und er ist natürlich einer von diesen wenigen echten Charakteren noch im Tätowieren. Also ich sag mal, so Leute gibt es ja nicht mehr viele. Und seine Geschichten natürlich auch mit Gefängnis und Bankraub. Das ist natürlich etwas, was im Tätowieren so nicht mehr stattfindet. Und es ist halt interessant. Ne, und er ist natürlich auch ein sehr, sehr starker Charakter und das ist spannend. Ne? Und dann natürlich auch in der Verbindung. Und dann war die Idee, ist halt gut, wir können bei der Eröffnung spielen und dann halt hier nochmal auf der Expo. Und haben einfach gesagt, wir gehen es halt spontan an und wir schauen einfach, wie es ist. Ne? Und hier auf der Expo war es wirklich, fand ich, sehr magisch und sehr cool und es ist super angenommen worden.
And there's that fucking kid in a bikini with his arm around this guy. And so I'm fucking livid. I got no teeth, fucking Mac, he doesn't even care. I broke his leg and he's just like, it happens. You know, he's a gangster, you know. So I walk up to the kid, and when I walk up, his boyfriend first gets in front of me and goes, what the fuck? I go, this doesn't have anything to do with you. And I told the kid, you know, as long as we're on this yard, don't even look at me or anything or I'll fucking kill you. But the guy he was hanging out with's nickname was Jungle Love. I swear to God. And that's when I learned you don't be someone's move or you don't be someone's play, you back their play. It was a hard lesson and I lost my teeth learning it. And one of the songs I wrote in the Stairway we used to play was called Shiny Pennies, and this is it.
Carry me, plant me in the ground, laying pennies on my eyes so shiny and round. There'll be one thing that I'll take there with me. That's a memory of the way it used to be. Even at that time, how can I forget? Last time you bit my lip with your arms around my neck. As they throw the last shovel of dirt upon my grave, these are the buried thoughts that I have saved.